Welcome to this Accessibility for Google Sites training. I'm going to include the URL of this Google Sites training page in the description of this video. When you create a site, follow the tips below to make it more readable by everyone, including people with disabilities. First thing that we're going to be going over is alt text, also called alternative text, which is a brief, succinct description of images, logos, drawings, and other graphics. Without alt text, screen readers, users just hear image. Some images automatically include alt text, so it's a good idea to check that the alt text is what you want. To add or edit alt text, select the logo or image, and then click the editing options, which is these three vertical dots. You click Add Alt Text, and then you enter in the description field the succinct, brief description of whatever this image is or what this image may be trying to convey. If the image is simply used as decoration, you can simply check this checkbox and the image description field will not be accessible. When you're complete, click Apply, and then you will have successfully entered your alt text for your image. Now, if your image has text in it, make sure your alt text reflects the message conveyed by the text in your image. For example, let's say like this Lamborghini Scion was actually advertising an opening day, and this day had a date. We would want to include that date and opening information within the alt text message itself. Now, similar to alt text is linked text, also known as hyperlinks. Screen readers can scan for links, so informative linked text is helpful. It's best to use the title of the page as the linked text. For example, if you're linking to your profile page, the linked text should say My Profile, not Click Here, or the full URL. All hyperlinks should include descriptive text in the link itself. See some examples below. A good hyperlink includes descriptive text, like click here for hyperlink to Rio Rancho Public Schools. It tells you what the destination of this link is. A bad hyperlink only has click here for hyperlink to RRPS. So a person using a screen reader would only see click here, and they wouldn't necessarily know that this hyperlink is going to rrps.net. Now, tooltips are similar to alt text. Tooltips are used in the same way that we use alt text for images. Tooltips are the descriptive text that appears when you hover over a link and describes the destination of the hyperlink. As of this tutorial, tooltips are not available for use on Google Sites, so we won't go over them in this tutorial, but I did want to mention them because they are important and should be used with hyperlinks. The next thing we'll be going over is how to check for high color contrast. High color contrast makes text and images easier to read and comprehend. Web Content Accessibility Guidelines recommend a minimum ratio for large text as well as other text and images. And as an example, we should avoid using light gray text on a white background. So the examples that you see here is we have some light gray text on this off-white background, and when we use a color contrast checker, it's going to show that this is not sufficient contrast ratio. However, if we simply make the text a little bit darker, as in this black against the same off-white background, we're going to see that the color contrast ratio is sufficient enough to see. Use this website, the WebAim contrast checker, and you will see that it has wonderful tools to help you check the foreground color against the background color. And it also has ways of checking if your text is large enough on your web page to pass the ratio standards. I won't go into how to use this page, for it is fairly self-explanatory, and I would encourage you to use it if you have any questions about the color contrasts as well as the text height on your web page. The next area that we're going to cover is how to check text size and alignment. To make your site easy to read, use large text. A minimum text size of 13 pixels or 13px is recommended. Google Sites has default text sizing, so you won't really need to adjust the size of your text. Also, your text should be aligned, left aligned. When you use justified text, it uses extra space between the words, and this can be difficult to read for those using a screen reader. The next thing I'd like to go over is how to use text to support formatting. It's best not to rely on visual formatting alone to communicate meaning. Screen readers might not announce formatting changes, such as boldface or highlighting. For example, to mark an important section of text, add the word important. Let's look at some examples below. This is a bad example of text formatting because I only use italic and bold text to try to convey a meaning. It's important to use good text formatting like this example, which uses keywords like important to convey meaning. So the simple use of the word important in this sentence is a clear indicator for those using a screen reader that there is an important message that is trying to be conveyed within this sentence. The last thing that I'm going to go over is the use of numbered and bulleted lists. Google Docs and Google Slides automatically detect and format some lists for accessibility. For example, if you start a new line in your document by typing the number 1 followed by a period, the new line automatically becomes the first item in a numbered list. Let's learn how to format bulleted and numbered lists. There's a formatting option that you can click, and once you do that, it will automatically start creating your bulleted list items. And these lists usually contain several points, and they're individually separated by a bulleted line. Similarly, numbered lists, as we said, if you start with the number 1 and add a period, it will automatically add this into your formatting. And once you hit enter, it's going to automatically create the 2 with the period. And these also contain several points, as well as individually separated by the numbered lines. The last thing that I'd like to go over is not necessarily accessibility related as much as it is for better user navigation. If you create a Google site to be used as a part of a larger website, it's important to always include a link back to that parent website. So if you're using this website as a department page and it's a part of the larger RRPS.net website, then include a link back either in the footer or somewhere in the main navigation. If you're using a school site and you create a Google Sites as a classroom page or as a department page for your school, then always include a link back to the school site as well. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have learned how to incorporate some of these tools in order to make an accessibility-friendly Google site.